What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Wealth Not Wait. I am your host, as always, Joseph Queez, and on today's episode, we are talking about budgeting. I'm going to get into a very specific kind of mental talk about budgeting. There's a lot of stuff out there between the book, between people who are far more qualified than I am, people like Dave Ramsey, Graham Stephan, a wide variety of people who talk about the specifics of budgeting, the very dirt aspect of budgeting. But I also feel, and I've talked about it a little bit, and I feel I'm going to get into it at a later point. I've talked about it before, so I'll get into it again at a later point. But I really want to focus on not just the symptom, but the problem of budgeting. A lot of people, it's like a fucking curse word to them. Budgeting, they're like, oh my God, I can't budget my money, or oh, I don't make enough money. Just right away, you mention the word budget, and people start to freak out about it. People fucking lose their mind. People, I don't make enough money, this, that. Okay, if you don't make enough money, how does that have anything to do with budgeting the money you have? If you, I don't want to do this, but I'm conscious and I don't spend. Okay, but do you have a written plan or something set up for it? When you budget your money, the aspect of it is separating your wants from your needs. That's a very, very difficult thing for them. I'll talk about three aspects. These are not inclusive. This isn't everything related to budgeting, but three really good aspects as far as budgeting. The one is separating your wants from your needs. People need some form of transportation to get to work. Be it a bus, be it a car, be it a friend, be it a ride share, whatever it is. That's a need. You need to get to work somehow. A bike, however. A want is the brand new Kia with the touchscreen and the fucking rims and all. That's a want. You don't need the brand new fucking Kia. You get a beater where its main color's Bondo. Okay? You can get something with a shitty look to it. It doesn't need to have a touchscreen. You get a fucking bike. Ride the bus. Whatever the case is, that is a need. Get to somewhere is a need. The type of car, you want a fancy car, all this, that's a want. And oftentimes, we'll get into it later, people go into debt and they spend money they don't have, or money they can't afford, or they don't understand that they're spending to get a want. Even if they kind of want it, it's usually often to impress people they don't like. I gotta get the fat whip, I gotta get this, I gotta get the watch, I gotta get the chain, I gotta go on these trips, I gotta post about it, I gotta get a bottle at the club, whatever the case may be. You're oftentimes trying to impress somebody, again, you don't even like, and it's a want, it's not a need. Number two is setting up and being realistic with the amount of money you spend with things. A lot of people just kind of hypothesize. Oh, well, I go out to dinner, I only spend like $20. I go and my gas only costs $10 about, if they don't prepay or something like that. This only costs about this much. I only spend about this much on clothes. I only spend about this much on drinks and this and that. When you hypothesize, that's like being calorie conscious. That's what I used to call myself. Oh, I'm calorie conscious. It didn't mean fucking anything. I'm just like, yeah, this Pop-Tart's like 300. When in reality, eating the fucking whole bag, it's like 600 calories. Not even to mention the sugars, not even to mention the other fucking stuff that hurts me. All the shit that's gonna hurt me and bother me and make me overweight and affect my health. You need to break down and be real with yourself about stuff. When planning a budget, when setting yourself up, you just can't go into it half-assed. You have to really sit down, and if you have to guess, there are times that you have to hypothesize. Make an educated guess, or look back and say, hey, what have I spent something close to this? Or if it's a reoccurring expense, what have I spent before? And then you could use that as a good metric. Don't just come up with a number out of thin air. Oh, I spend $40 a week on coffee. Where'd you get that number from? Do you know for a fact? Is that a guarantee? Well, listen, if you get it 7 days a week and each coffee's $7, I can tell you right now that math's not going to work out. Plus tip, plus tax, all the extra bullshit that you get for it. I can tell you right now that math's not going to work out. You need to sit down and really look at it. Go through your financial statements. Go through stuff. Really take the time and effort. I know it's a tough thing, which we'll get into in a second, in the final part of it. It's a tough fucking thing to sit there and go, wow, yeah, I really fucked up on that. It's hard to admit when you're wrong with things. It's hard to sit there sometimes, but for a lot of people, back in a younger year, I understood that it was a little more difficult for me to do that. But I've always been of the mind that if it's proven, I could be wrong. If this is a fact and that's what it is, okay. There are more things that's like, oh, I feel this way, and more outlandish ideas or more of a conceptual idea that's like, oh, well, I prove that this. It's like, but that's your interpretation of it. But if you sit there and say, hey, I'm out of money. I don't have enough money to pay my bills, but I get paid X amount of dollars. How is this working out? Do I make enough for this? What's the situation? And you really lay yourself out and you go, okay, well, here's how much I'm spending on this. Here's how much my car payment is. Here's how much gas is. Here's how much food is. Okay, well, last week I had a tear in my shirt, and that's one of my good work shirts. I had to get another work shirt. I did this. Okay, I went out last weekend. I did that. And really breaking it down and having that conversation saying, okay, yeah, I fucked up. Same thing with your calories. If you eat a crazy dinner one day, sitting there saying, hey, I fucked up. I really, really need to be on my fucking ball now the rest of this week. You gotta admit that, okay, hey, listen, I spent money that I really shouldn't have. You gotta have that self-awareness to come to your terms and say, okay, I need to make an adjustment. Especially if you're not where you wanna be. Especially if you wanna do fun things. Especially when you focus on your needs instead of your wants. And then eventually you're like, I have enough money saved up that I wanna go on a trip or do something. Sitting there and saying, okay, I can push this money now towards something I want to do. Understanding, really breaking it down, getting the final metrics, and being realistic with yourself. Self-aware enough to understand when you fucked up, not just coming in half-assed, not just sugarcoating it, really sitting down and saying, here's what I do, here's how much I spend, here's the situation. And third of all, separating your emotion from your finances. When you're setting up a budget, at least, setting up a budget and separating the wants and how I feel about it and all that, and putting that aside and focusing on the numbers. Okay, I spend X amount of dollars. I make X amount of dollars. Do I have money left over? Is the situation I'm in, do I need this right now? Do I need to be in an XYZ place? Can I downgrade? Do I need to drive the car that I do? Do I need to buy the things that I do? Do I need to go to the places that I do? You know, I understand everybody wants to have a life, of course. I'm not saying don't have a life. And in the book, I was a little more, I guess, straightforward with it. But sometimes, people really need a kick in the ass with that stuff. Stuff like this, it's tough. People think, oh, I have a little leeway. You give them an inch, they take a yard. A lot of people have a lot of discipline with self-control issues. They have $20, they're going to spend $20. Because they have it right now, and then 2 weeks from now, later, I know I have that thing of $20 that's due. Instead of saving it for when I need to fucking pay it, because I know I'll make more money eventually. That's how you really fuck yourself. Separating that emotion from it and doing things logistically. And I guarantee you your emotions are going to get better because of it. If you have a guaranteed plan, if you set yourself out good, you look at the numbers, you separate your wants from your needs, you say, here's how much of my needs that I need to spend money on. Let me get rid of the other shit that's just like wants. I kind of like this, I kind of don't. And you really take stock in yourself and you say, hey, I don't need this, I don't need that. Yeah, this is kind of nice, like I want it, but do I really need it? Or can I spend this somewhere else that I really want this? Setting something up like that. Important aspects of setting a budget. I understand it can be difficult. I understand it can be hard to do that and really sit down and hold yourself accountable if you've never done it before. Secondarily, some people do this really easily and other people have a hard time with it. If you're someone who doesn't really spend a lot of money and you already have your money going places and doing stuff, I know as soon as I get a paycheck, this goes out to investing, this goes out to taxes, this I donate, this goes to my rent, this goes to my water, and you really sit down and you put in the time and effort. You're going to say, okay, here's how much money I have left to spend. And then you can go fucking nuts with it. You can go crazy with it. Ball out if it's money you don't need to have. You already have your savings, you're investing, you're this, you're that, whatever. And you really have yourself set. You have an emergency fund. You're doing good for yourself. And you have that little extra bit of money, go crazy. It also helps to say, hey, oh, I have an income problem. A lot of people, like Dave Ramsey says, have a spending problem rather than an income problem. But if you budget and you really sit yourself and say, look, I'm living purely, these are my needs. I don't get a coffee on the weekends. I don't do this extra bullshit. I don't do any of this. I don't do any of that. I'm purely paying for this. I'm purely paying for that. This is a need. I spend $20 in food. My rent is lowest in the area. It's not a luxury apartment or anything crazy. I live outside the city. However you got to set it up. And you're like, I'm bare bones in needs. And you find I still don't have money to cover things. Then you understand, okay, yeah, I definitely have an income problem. There are people who make 12 grand a year and they make it work somehow. It's horrible. They hate it. I've watched a lot of videos, a lot of people talking about it, but they make it work somehow. Somehow, some way they make it work for them. And there's people 90 grand a year who are ridiculously in debt and just go, I just need to make more money. You don't need to live the way you do. Act your wage. Setting it up and being honest with yourself and setting that aside. And then taking some pride out of it. That's always important. That's it. That's going to be in this video. And let me know in the comments below, what's your guys' relationship with budgeting and what's your relationship with debt? Do you have a problem with it? Has it hurt you in the past? How are you dealing with it now? Guys, like this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I'm Joseph Kawisa, and I'm here to help.